Hello friends, it's me, and today let's watch Food Theory. What's so special about Lucky's charm from the Food Theorist? Together, let's go. Let's start. Thank you.
Lucky the Leprechaun is a failure. He may seem like a happy-go-lucky mascot that's just trying to protect his iconic cereal, but that right there, that's the smile of someone who's doomed us all. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the show that's magically delicious. But, not magical like the last time I talked about the cereal.
I remember it being so much worse because obviously as a kid you're like digging out for all the mushrooms. Digging out for all the marshmallows.
They are magically delicious.
They are, you know, have a cup of that and you'll be seeing some friggin' leprechauns, alright?
And today...
Alright, hello Internet, welcome to Food Theory.
We're breaking open a box and digging into Lucky Charms once again. Because for 60 years, we've watched Lucky run from children, leap across rainbows, and conjure up new marshmallows in a kaleidoscope of sugary chaos. It's led to multiple people, including Amy over on Style Theory, to ask, what is up with Lucky's charms? Well, what if we've misunderstood him entirely? What if Lucky's not a mischievous guardian of magical cereal, but a desperate failure trying to complete a mission he messed up from day one? What if the story of Lucky the Leprechaun is less Saturday morning cartoon and more tragic fantasy quest with a ticking clock? Because here's the thing, theorists. Lucky didn't arrive in our world to protect the charms. He came here to deliver them. But somewhere between leaving his realm and arriving in ours, he lost them. And ever since, he's been using the cereal, the commercials, and even us to try and get them back. But like any good quest, there's an evil figure lurking behind the scenes, trying to make sure Lucky never accomplishes his mission. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll show you. Now, there are a few things that are flat out stated in the Lucky Charms lore. Lucky for us, one of
is lore! Sorry.
those things happens to be the start of the story. According to the official Lucky Charms website, Lucky the Leprechaun didn't just stumble into our world, he was sent here by his father. In his official story, he lived somewhere over a rainbow in a magical forest. His dad, a wise man according to the website, knew it was Lucky's destiny to bring magic from his world to our world. He placed 8 magical charms in Lucky's hands as a way of protecting him along the journey. So off the bat, we know a couple of things. One, his dad is clearly some sort of wise elder in their village or town or whatever leprechauns live in. 2, his mission. He was tasked with bringing magic from his world into ours. And 3, he was given 8 magical charms to do it. But this is where it gets interesting. When Lucky Charms hit the store shelves in 1964, it debuted with only 4 marshmallows. 4, not 8. So what exactly happened to the original charms? The ones that were supposed to make our world look like something out of a Disney movie. Clearly, Lucky hasn't completed his mission because... oh, that's right, you can't see me. I'm vaguely gesturing to the world around us. But what we need to figure out is how Lucky could have possibly failed his mission so spectacularly from day one. Kids aren't the only ones after his Lucky Charms. Lucky is also desperately chasing after them because he's an incompetent failure. So strap in, because we're going somewhere over the rainbow for this one. The original marshmallows for Lucky Charms, the ones that Lucky managed to hold on to, were pink hearts, yellow moons, orange stars, and green clovers. Iconic, sure, but incomplete. That means half of the magical artifacts his father entrusted him with were missing on day one. Now, you might say, hey, General Mills just didn't design 8 marshmallows at the start. But here's the thing. This is an in-universe mystery, a narrative fracture that demands explanation. The lore retroactively confirms that there were 8. So, Lucky lands on Earth with half of his charms. Naturally, his new mission is to find the remaining charms. And let's not forget what happens next. The moment Lucky is spotted in our world, what do people do? They chase after him. They try to steal his charms. Commercial after commercial shows mobs of kids ambushing him in forests, on roller coasters, underwater, in space. How children get up there, we don't know, but Katy Perry did it, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. And while these ads played off as fun, the subtext...
oh my goodness, Sanji! Clever, using the Katy Perry meme. To be fair, she did go to space for like 11 minutes. Space tourism.
Text is clear. Human
AKA she's very rich.
want the power of the charms. Which, honestly, makes total sense. Lucky didn't arrive to a warm welcome. He showed up holding the magical equivalent of nuclear launch codes in a land of greedy little humans. So, he ran. Not to protect the charms, but because he couldn't risk losing another one. From minute 1, he was down 4 and needed to find the rest. Though, it's not just the fact that he lost the most important things to complete his mission and the serial equivalent to the Infinity Stones, but Lucky doesn't actually know what these things do. You would think that someone being sent on quite
Yep, I am inevitable. Sorry.
possibly the most important mission in the universe would at least have a handle on the charms. Maybe have read a synopsis on the do's and don'ts, their powers, etc. But no. For example, he's given an hourglass charm in one commercial, then he proceeds to reuse it in another, except he's not entirely sure how to use it, and he's sent back millions of years to when dinosaurs existed. Or the fact that whenever he attempts to shrink his charms, he ends up shrinking himself too. It shows that even when he does have an idea of what to do, he ends up doing it wrong. That's if he even gets to where he needs to be, because he's also got the sense of direction of a blind parakeet. So not only does his incompetence put himself into danger, see above, read the mouth of a T-Rex, but other people and the mission at large too. In this commercial, he finds swirled charms that give him the power of teleportation. Not only is he clearly caught off guard, but he doesn't seem to actually have full control over the magic and ends up teleporting right into the group of kids. The very same people that are constantly after his lucky charms and stopping him from completing his mission. But don't get it twisted, he gets in his own way just fine too. Just looking at the 4 original charms that he did manage to hold on to, you'll notice that one of them is no longer around. Yeah, that means that somehow between his magical forest home and our world, not only did he lose 4, make that 5 now, but he grabbed the wrong one too. In his defense, they do kind of look alike, orange stars and shooting stars, but you would think he'd know the difference. But we are talking about someone that General Mills has confirmed in his bio is constantly losing charms. Your keys, I get it. Your phone, who hasn't misplaced that every now and then? But the magical equivalent of a hydrogen bomb? How do you just lose that? Especially if you got yourself into this mess by losing 5 in the first place. You would
It's not how you lose that, is how careless must you be to do that again. Quiet.
he'd guard these mofos with his life, but no! It's a constant rotation of charms like a freaking revolving door of magic. Which brings us to the cereal itself. Over the 60 years that Lucky has been running around in our world, there have been 16 additions to the charms, not counting recolors of existing marshmallows or them being turned tiny, which weirdly happened twice. Then again, Rick Moranis managed to shrink or enlarge his family 3 times, so I guess we can give Lucky kind of a pass here. But over the years, Lucky Charms has added more and more marshmallows. Blue diamonds in 1975, purple horseshoes in 1983, red balloons, rainbows, unicorns, and a lot more. Every single one with its own magical power. But not all of them have stayed in the cereal. Otherwise, there'd be none of the gross part of the cereal left. In fact, most of them have dropped over the years. Why? Because they weren't the charms Lucky's dad entrusted him with. He's trying to find the lost charms, and he's using these new charms as placeholders. He finds a pot of gold hoping it might be one of the real ones. When it fails, onto the horseshoe, then a balloon, then a key. But no matter how many he adds, he still hasn't completed the set. Even more telling is how often the marshmallows change. It's not a celebration, it's a desperation, a decades-long hunt for artifacts that remain lost. Lucky is running magical field tests with every cereal box, hoping one of them reacts with the kind of power his father intended. And this gives us one big answer and one big question. The answer is that Lucky is actually getting close to completing his mission. From its debut in 1964 to 1998, a total of 13 marshmallows were introduced in the cereal, with 7 of those remaining to this day. From 1998 to 2018, a full 20 years, those 7 remained consistent. And the 8th charm only changed 3 times. Once to Pot of Golds in 1994, again to Crystal Balls in 2008, and finally to Unicorns in 2018. What this tells us is that Lucky, more likely than not, has finally gotten 7 of the 8 original charms correct, and he's only trying to find the final one through a process of elimination. That's huge, because if he fails, the mission ends, the magic dies, and the charms remain scattered. That's the big answer. But the big question, and where this theory takes a sinister turn, if the mission has failed multiple times, maybe it's not just bad luck. Sure, Lucky is an incompetent, bumbling
Fool
But something or someone is sabotaging every step of his journey. I mentioned before that it's clear humans want the power of the charms. Those kids have been at it for ages, but there's one human who wants them more than any other. Let me introduce you to Waldo the Wizard. If that name
Hello, Waldo the Wizard.
doesn't ring a bell, it's because General Mills tried to bury him. Waldo was briefly tested as a replacement mascot for Lucky in 1975. On the surface, he seemed harmless, just a generic wizard character with a catchphrase that I'm so happy didn't catch on. Ibbledy bibble delicious. Ugh. He presented himself as a pretty fun, mild-mannered guy. He would also constantly misplace his charms and tell the kids he's looking for them. But one major difference, he would normally end up creating them out of thin air. That's a power not even Lucky has ever shown. In fact, the only other person we've seen create a charm is the Emerald Elder, a wise old leprechaun with the power to create charms. Sound like someone we know? Yeah, the Emerald Elder is most likely Lucky's father trying to help him out. And clearly, this Waldo is more powerful than he seems to be. So powerful that he created a new charm, the Blue Diamond Marshmallow. Now, with how many marshmallows have come and gone throughout the years, most people wouldn't bat an eye at this. But here's the thing, the inspiration for the charm is believed to be none other than the Hope Diamond. For those of you that don't know, the Hope Diamond is one of the largest and rarest blue diamonds in the world. It's the same diamond that the necklace in Titanic is also inspired by. One of the other reasons this particular diamond is famous, because it's cursed, or at least believed to be. It has a fascinating history going back to the 17th century. We don't really need to go into all of that right now, but just know that it's been linked to deaths, misfortune, and overall bad juju since then. So
aka cursed.
we have Waldo, who seems to be a fairly good dude, who then creates a charm modeled after a cursed real-world artifact. Seems like an odd thing for a mascot all the kids seem to love, until you realize that he was trying to hold Lucky back. The Blue Diamond wasn't a charm, it was a curse, and it stayed on the roster for 20 whole years until Lucky replaced it with the Blue Moons, one of the 7 correct ones we covered earlier. Lucky probably remembered one of the charms being blue, and because of everything we've covered earlier, he figured, that's gotta be the right one, not knowing that Waldo had cursed him with misfortune for 2 decades. And then what happened to Waldo? He vanished, never to be seen again. Or maybe never to be recognized again. See, he doesn't need to do his dirty tricks anymore because he has help. The biggest difference between the kids with Lucky and the kids with Waldo, they help Waldo find charms. They tell him to make charms. But with Lucky, they're constantly trying to steal them. So what if Waldo just took a back seat? What if he's manipulating the game from the shadows? Think about it. Every time
Alright, okay, that escalated quickly.
Lucky gets close to collecting more charms, a new marshmallow appears. The kids swarm, the power destabilizes, the cereal changes again, and the loop continues. A loop that benefits Waldo and keeps Lucky from ever reaching completion. He doesn't want the world to have magic. The wizard wants it all to himself. But it seems like things may be coming to a head soon. Last year, Lucky went missing. Straight up ripped out of the cereal boxes. Where he went, nobody knows. But Waldo's clearly gotten more aggressive in trying to find him, because the mission for every kid who buys a Lucky Charms box is to create a trap for the leprechaun, luring him in with promises of charms. With
No way, there's actually an ARG version of it, or something similar to an ARG. Okay, if I'm not wrong, ARG stands for Alternate Reality Game. So, awesome! Yeah!
of the original 8, Lucky is getting way too close to finishing his job, and Waldo can't sit around much longer. He may soon have to step out of the shadows to finish his job himself. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory! Buen provecho. And hey, if you want to see more, make sure to click the link on the screen now. And as always, I'll see you next week.
Well, yeah, I guess, wow, that escalated way too quickly. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe.